So, design team, tell us what these three musketeers will bring.
I actually worked with all three of these designers at Facebook. They were some of the top designers at that company. Designed products you probably use, like the profile page and newsfeed and Facebook Home. And I think one of the trends that I've always been interested in that really resonated with me when we sold our company to Salesforce was the influence of consumer software on enterprise software. It's something that it's pretty near and dear to our hearts at Salesforce. We looked at how AI is impacting our lives in the consumer world with Alexa and Siri. And with Salesforce Einstein, we let companies apply AI. Our mission at Quip is really similar. We want to take this consumer product design philosophy to productivity software and enable companies to move on from email and file attachments and kind of the hell of email that we've been living in for the past decade. And I really love the idea of bringing in kind of people with the consumer product design mentality and seeing how we can improve our work lives.
Is anyone else out there getting it really right? This is such a hot competitive space, and I just want to get a feeling from you of who you see as competition, who you see as friendly fire and helping push your vision towards, I mean, the Trellos, the Slacks.
Yeah.
Who do you really admire?
Well, I think those are great examples. Companies like Trello and Slack, I really feel, are on a similar mission, which is, can we be productive without email? Can we move on? It's interesting, if you look at the consumer world, you probably don't email your spouse anymore, you text. If you talk to anyone under the age of 25, they probably use everything but email. They probably have
voice messaging.
Yeah, they probably have 4 or 5 messaging apps on their phone. But at work, we're still in this workflow of writing on a virtual 8.5 by 11 piece of paper and attaching it to an email. And I do believe, I've obviously sort of drank in the Kool-Aid at Quip, but I do believe there's a better way of doing things. And I really think that companies like that, I really feel sort of we're on a mission together to kind of prove to the world that this is actually a mainstream trend, that we're actually going to move on from email and the traditional Office suite to something better. And I really feel like they're allied in that. And I sort of look at us as trying to kind of show businesses through results that there is a better way of being productive.
Do companies such as yours have to be bought up by bigger players that then can ease the concerns of the IT teams within companies that are a bit worried about these new startups coming into their
it certainly helps. I mean, one of the great parts about Salesforce, I don't know if you were here when Dreamforce happened, when hundreds of thousands of people takes over. I think that reflects the fact that people view in Salesforce, they're not buying a product, they're really entering a partnership, a company that will help them innovate. When, if you look at the way, the iPhone was invented less than a decade ago. You have AI transforming technology now. If you're a CIO of a company, it's just so intimidating because every year there's a brand new technology trend you need to figure out how to leverage. And I think they view in Salesforce like a partner in that to help them strategize about how to adopt those trends and bring them to their employees. So now with Quip, we're a part of this ecosystem, this single platform that I think a lot of company leaders have really grown to depend on, and it instantly gives us credibility. People look to Salesforce as that leader, and that has helped open the door. I mean, there are companies talking to us now that honestly wouldn't have been talking to us before, and I do think that's something you'll see. I think we're a little premature to say consolidation is happening. I think we're still in that innovation stage. People know that email and file attachments aren't the future. I don't know there's one clear winner yet, but I'm really excited to participate in maybe defining what that looks like.
Let's talk about unity and variety, because you talked about how you worked with all of them at Facebook. It's sort of bringing back the band back together again, as one of our producers said. What do you think about your old life of Facebook? What do you think about Facebook as it's come up against a real wall of criticism surrounding fake news? Are the algorithms to blame? Could the algorithms be better? You were the CTO.
Yeah, so this is a really nuanced problem. I look at things like fake news, abuse. They're really nuanced problems because you can't just slap an algorithm on and solve a human problem. As we've seen, there's fake news, which is obvious, and then there's really, really biased news. And where is that line drawn? And it's not a black and white line. And I think the reason why this is a really meaningful controversy, I think, is just indicative of the influence of these social platforms on our lives. And you look at the American election that just happened, and I mean, it was really defined by Twitter and Facebook. And I think these companies are just grappling with what that means. And what combination of automated and algorithmic solutions can we apply to make sure people are better informed? And then how do you adopt the social element of that, because this is a social network, there's humans involved, and I think it needs to be a combination of sort of the policy and sort of social changes within these platforms and technological changes. But I think it's going to be really complicated because I do think a lot of these things are gray areas. It's very easy to hold up the black and white example examples and I think trivialize what is a very complex problem.
Talking of policy and talking of, you just mentioned Twitter and Facebook define this recent election. We have the administration coming in on Friday, the inauguration. You generally glass half full or glass half empty about the new administration?
You know, I think right now it's really hard to predict, what policy changes will come with a new administration. So we're just trying to remain optimistic and focus on the things that I think are sort of shared as sort of policies and priorities of the government. For example, we're the cloud company at Salesforce. There's a huge number of federal agencies that want to move off their on-premise legacy solutions to the cloud. That was happening during Obama's administration. It's going to happen during Trump's. So we're just looking for the places that we can partner to modernize our government, modernize our infrastructure, where we can really help contribute to making our government more efficient.
It's fascinating the way in which the new president-elect uses a company you're on the board of to communicate with the world. Asking again, half empty, half full, are you optimistic or pessimistic about Twitter at the moment as a business?
Well, I'm on the board, so I'm perpetually optimistic about this company because I'm really loyal to it. And I think that I really just believe the thing that, the company's gone through well-documented struggles in the past, but you see the influence it's had on our culture and our society with this past election. I really think that demonstrates kind of, in physics terms, the potential energy that this company has. And I really think what the company's focused on is really focus and be in that place to be up to date, to see what's going on right now. And I think Twitter's pretty unique in that respect, and I really think it's really an important tool in our society.
You talk about that focus, and we saw Jack Dorsey just almost set himself New Year's resolutions of saying, tackling abuse, editing, as well as driving conversations and being able to edit your tweets. So there's sort of the 4 key topics he's going to focus on. Can he do that while he's still got 2 jobs?
Well, I can't really speak to sort of the internal management of the company, but I can say that what I really appreciate about what we've talked about as a company, as a board, is really focusing on what we do great and what Twitter's great at, which is being in the know, finding out what's going on right now, and being a part of that conversation. And I think that focus will follow through with just like a great user experience, which will mean that the business will follow.
And I think it's just the fact that you've basically just made an acqui-hire. You've hired a company, 3 individuals, because you thought the talent was there. We've just seen Twitter lose a lot of talent themselves. How is talent in San Francisco? How is talent for companies such as yourselves, such as Twitter? Can they get back the level of talent, or are they going to have to do what you do and start buying other companies to get it?
Well, when an employee, especially an engineer or a designer, is choosing where to work, there's a few factors. There's, money and stock options and all the things we write a lot about. But there's also a mission. How do I derive satisfaction in what I'm doing every day? And it's interesting because the company I work for, Salesforce, the company I'm on the board of, Twitter, very, very mission-driven companies. And, and I think that's why those types of companies are able to attract such high-quality employees. And I do think that Twitter, more than most companies, will be able to endure some hardship and still retain the great talent because their mission is so important and the product's so important.